Hello and welcome, my lovely psychology students, to a quick little video just to develop an understanding of what we mean by attachment. So the question is quite simple. What is attachment? Now, it is really important that you can clearly define what attachment is, but also use relevant terms that allow you to clearly explain what we mean by attachment. Attachment is a close two-way emotional bond between two individuals, in which each sees the other as essential for their own emotional security. So really, this definition of attachment actually has quite a lot in it. So let's just break it down so we can understand the complexities of this definition. Now, looking at this definition, we have keywords here. Attachment is a close two-way. Okay, so let's start there. Close. So it's quite an intimate relationship, but it's a two-way. It's a two-way process. It's not, an attachment isn't just a one-way process. When we look at attachment, we automatically think of the primary attachment figure, which is usually referred to as the mother, and the infant. So this is between the two individuals. So it's a two-way. It's a process that links them both together. It's not just something that the infant is seeking themselves. The next key thing that we have is this idea of emotional bond. So attachment is an emotional bond. So it is, a child will want to form an attachment, this emotional bond, with an other individual who is sensitive, emotionally sensitive to their needs. So it's not just the individual who perhaps feeds, cleans, and keeps the infant warm, but it's the adult who is emotionally available, who's sensitive, responsive to their emotional interactions. Now, between two individuals, and just like I said, the two individuals, we're looking at the infant and the primary caregiver. Now, you will find that in most of the literature, we do talk about the mother, because it is presumed that the mother is the primary attachment figure. Yes, we do understand in modern day that actually the father can be the primary attachment figure, but we'll leave that to another session when we look at the role of the father. But so far, we know that attachment is a close two-way emotional bond. So it is something that goes from the infant to the mother, from the mother to the infant. And when we look at infant and caregiver interaction, we can understand that two-way system. Now, the next key thing, we have the next word here that it says it's essential for, right? So in which each sees the other as essential for their own emotional security. So it says they're highly important for each other's emotional security, for a child to emotionally develop, but also for the comfort and the support of the mother. So attachment is very informative in the sense that it's not just a bond between two people. It's not just about bonding. This bonding is specific to the emotional needs of both the infant and that of the mother. Now, there are key behaviors that actually indicate that attachment is starting to occur between the two individuals. Because attachment doesn't, the baby's not just born, poof, bang, attachment is formed. Attachment is actually quite a long process to develop within the infant and for it to occur. So it's not just something. So we do need to understand that there's going to be key behaviors that are associated and that we can see in the infant and also within the mother, that attachment between the mother and the infant is occurring. Now, so let's start having a look at some of these key behaviors. The first one we're going to look at is the concept of proximity. Now, another word for proximity is actually being close. Both the infant and the mother want to be close to each other all the time. They don't want to be separated. And if they are separated, they're going to feel a high level of distress. So we know that attachment has been made and the infant has identified the attachment figure, which we would refer to as the primary attachment figure, because they want to stay close and they will become stressed. So you'll see them crying, they'll be difficult to start being comforted if they're not in the presence of that primary attachment figure. But also, remember, this is a two-way process. We will see that the mother will get distressed when she's no longer in the company of her infant. I mean, you just need to watch all these movies and things like that, where, mum and dad are first night out without the baby, and the mother-in-law is watching the baby, and the mother's saying, "Oh, do you think I should call? Is she all right? Let me just check on her." The mum's becoming anxious, so therefore she's becoming distressed because she wants to be with her baby. So you can clearly see it is a close to. So when we see that behavior happening, we know attachment is formed, separation distress, and that closely links to the idea of proximity. They both become upset when they are not with each other. So really, they're becoming distressed. Their anxiety levels will increase, right? The child will cry and will find it difficult to be comforted. The mother will start worrying. So both of them will show emotional feelings of distress, right? They will become, in essence, a little bit unhappy when they're not with each other. So you'll see that separation anxiety occurring. And a third key behavior that we'll see is secure base behavior. And you will see this predominantly in the infant. Because the mother has formed this attachment with the infant, or is forming this attachment with the infant, it is making the infant feel emotionally secure. So when the infant feels an element of distress, it just turns to the mother or crawls back to the mother, will be comforted, will be acknowledged, and everything feels all right. And then they're able to go off and play and explore. And you will see this in children, even children 3, 4 years old, they're out in the playground, at the park, on the playground, and mum says, off you go and play. So they go in the swings for a minute, or they go down the slide, and the next minute they run, they go, mom, look at me. Right? Or they run up to the mum and say, Mum, did you see what I did? And mum goes, yes, hi. And she puts her hand on their shoulder. Actually, the little child is going, yeah, mum saw me, everything's okay. But if we're applying this to infants, when infants are starting, to move about and crawl, it's a whole wide world out there. Even though it's in the living room, they will get distressed, as if to say, oh, I'm a little bit far away from mum, but, so then they'll crawl back to mum, and mum will comfort them, or mum will talk to them and interact with them and be sensitive to the infant's needs. And the infant feels okay. And then they feel secure enough to go off and explore a bit more and see what the other toys are, then they'll come back to mum. So here we can clearly see that there are three key behaviors: secure base, separation distress, otherwise known as separation anxiety, and proximity or proximity seeking. When we see those behaviors occurring, we know that attachment has been formed between the what we would now refer to as the primary attachment figure and the infant. Right, so hopefully that makes a lot more sense. But remember, watch it again, make your notes, and I will see you in our next video, which we're going to be looking at caregiver-infant interactions. Till then, stay safe.